There are some new bills waiting on the governor's signature as an overnight session at the state capitol starts back up this morning.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Wednesday, December 5th. A lot to talk about this morning, especially everything going on at the state capitol. We're just getting word that the Assembly and the Senate are now turning their attention to that main bill in the lame duck session that would limit the powers of the governor-elect and attorney general-elect.
Yeah, we will get live update, that is, with Josh Spreiter. He is at the state capitol, has been there since just after midnight. Lawmakers have now passed 2 bills overnight. Meanwhile, though, Governor Walker is expected to represent Wisconsin in D.C. today, where the nation will honor President George H.W. Bush. Those funeral services happened this morning at the Washington National Cathedral. All living U.S. presidents will be in attendance. The service begins around 10 Central, and then Mr. Bush's body will be flown home to Houston, Texas, where he will be laid to rest. We will carry CBS News' live coverage of the services this morning. In the meantime, all federal offices are closed for a national day of mourning.
Because of that National Day of Mourning, federal offices, the USPS mail service, and the Wall Street will be closed down today. Investors might need that break after the Dow took an 800-point dip yesterday. That roller coaster ride seems to be the norm lately on Wall Street, since Monday saw a spike in numbers thanks to confidence that the U.S.-China trade war might come to an end. But stocks came crashing back down Tuesday after President Trump called himself a tariff man in a tweet.
President Trump's former national security advisor may not have to serve any time in jail after lying to the FBI because he's shared enough information with prosecutors in the Russia probe. Last night, special counsel Robert Mueller submitted the no jail time request for Michael Flynn. Prosecutors say they have interviewed Flynn 19 times.
All right, over to Hattie now with another cool, cloudy day in store for us on this Wednesday. Right, Hads?
You're right. Not a lot has changed here across southern Wisconsin. The strongest jet stream is to our south, so we continue with quiet weather. No issues with fog this morning. You can see the Capitol pretty clearly from our Edgewater Skycam shot. It is a little colder this morning. You might remember yesterday, not that bad. Temperatures in the upper 20s, but we're down about 4 to 5 degrees from those numbers this morning. 22 here in Madison, 22 in the Dells, 25 in Mineral Point. Janesville's at 27 degrees right now. Now here's a look at your forecast as you head out the door this morning. Temperatures will climb a little bit warmer later today, but not much. We'll be flirting with 30 degrees later on today. Mostly cloudy skies will continue across the area. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps early this morning. We'll show you what's happening in and around southern Wisconsin. Beltline travel still looking pretty good. No issues with volume yet downtown. Here's a look at your travel times. No accidents around the area either, which is good news. And that's your first alert traffic.
All right, Hattie, thank you so much. 2 bills are on Governor Walker's desk, as we mentioned, waiting on his signature this morning as lawmakers in the state's Senate and Assembly continue their marathon overnighter.
Yeah, Josh Spreiter is following developments at the state capitol this morning. He's live to break down those first 2 bills for us. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. There is a lot going on right now. Both the Senate and Assembly are back in session after a long recess overnight where they were in a closed caucus session. They're now focusing on those bills that would limit the power of the incoming governor and attorney general. We'll get you up to speed right now. Just within the last half hour, the Assembly passed the transportation and tax bill. That's the Senate passed earlier in the night. This bill has to do with federal money for road projects, where to put online sales tax revenue and some other tax changes. Earlier, a bill to enact a Medicaid work requirement passed as well. That bill prevents Governor-elect Tony Evers from withdrawing a federal waiver request to implement the work requirement for able-bodied adults under 50. With lawmakers running on no sleep, frustration is high on both sides of the aisle, and it's only building.
That, to me, is what the basic, fundamental part of democracy is. Negotiation, compromise, where equal partners are sitting at the table, giving and getting. Not one ignoring the will of the most representative of the 3 branches by saying, I'm just going to do what I want to do.
You wonder, why would we have any problems trying to get these things done? Because even you have questions. The Senate has questions. Why are we here today? What are we doing? We should not be here for an extraordinary session, just weeks after a campaign.
A lot of last-minute change. We're still
Now the bills which would limit the powers of Governor-elect Tony Evers and Attorney General-elect Josh Kaul were being worked on throughout the night. One would eliminate the Solicitor General's office of the Department of Justice. The other would give Republicans control of the Board of WEDC, the Economic Development Agency. There is still a lot developing this morning. Governor Walker is set to attend President Bush's funeral today. That, of course, leaves him plenty of time to come back and sign some bills. Right now, legislators are still arguing in both the Assembly and Senate. Some even saying they're too tired that they don't even think they could legally drive. So a lot going on here this morning. We'll continue following it for you. Back to you.
Absolutely. We'll check back in with Josh shortly here, and if any developments happen, we'll be sure to update you as well. Thank you, Josh.
5:33 your time now. Janesville police have a man suspected of first-degree homicide under arrest this morning in relation to fatal drug overdoses. Officers arrested Taylor Fraudenfelder yesterday. He was arrested on multiple charges, including homicide, felony child neglect, 2 counts of second-degree recklessly endangering safety, and 2 counts of delivering heroin. Fraudenfelder did admit to officers that he served those overdoses. He's now in custody at the Rock County Jail.
A Madison man is in custody as well after eluding and lying to officers. During the evening rush hour yesterday, Middleton police tried to pull over a driver who ran a stop sign near Allen Boulevard. That car drove away instead. Minutes later, Ricky Warren called 911 to report 3 armed men wearing masks pulled him from his car and stole it. Police later found out Warren's story was false and say he was the one driving away from police. Warren's in the Dane County Jail this morning on a felony charge of eluding an officer.
Madison police are working to find out who shot at 2 homes overnight. No one was hurt in those situations, but an 18-year-old was home around 7:45 when someone shot at her building in the 2000 block of Baird Street. That's just off South Park Street near Penn Park. Within an hour of that, a 49-year-old woman came home to her patio door shattered over on Fordham Avenue close to Tenney Park. Police believe that damage was caused by a bullet. The city is trying to prepare for festivals and 5Ks next year by making sure those events aren't too disruptive or unsafe. By designating a downtown zone on the Isthmus, the city can cater its permitting rules specifically to the challenges that area presents. That includes effects on Madison Metro service and emergency response times. If the zone was approved, the police or fire chief would also have the authority to cancel an event if they believe there's an imminent danger or threat to public safety. Madison's Street Use Commission is going to talk about creating that zone this morning.
There could be some significant changes to a popular downtown park, and not everyone's happy with the upgrades. Madison's in the process of redesigning James Madison Park, which includes new basketball and volleyball courts, a modern-looking shelter and picnic area, and a larger, more centrally located parking lot. Now, some neighbors are against those parking spaces, saying that they will take away from the current park. The Board of Park Commissioners will vote on a final design next Wednesday. That meeting is open to the public.
There could soon be more studio and 1-bedroom apartments available to Madison's homeless. Chicago-based Heartland Housing wants to build a 58-unit complex in the 1200 block of South Park Street. That's where there's currently just a parking structure and an old printing building. These plans call for transforming that space into a 4-story building with parking and usable rooftop areas. The Urban Design Commission is going to take a look at the facade plans this afternoon.
A group of Madison leaders will get an update later today on the effects of SNAP benefit changes on families struggling to get by here in our area. Some members of Congress are looking to Wisconsin as a model for future nationwide requirements when it comes to food assistance programs. New laws require food stamp recipients here in the Badger State to prove they are working or at least are trying to find a job for at least 80 hours a month. That is set to go up to a minimum of 120 hours a month next year, with more employment and training programs available throughout the state. Unemployment is currently at an all-time low here in Wisconsin.
All right, another Packers coach is out of Lambeau this morning over tweets he sent out about the franchise. We've got the details on the latest guy to go that's coming up.
And everyone's favorite Bucks player is getting some big recognition, and I'm getting an excuse to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo. We will talk about the major honor for the Greek Freak for the 2nd time in his career. Man, he is cool when News 3 This Morning returns.
And our temperatures this morning are starting in the 20s across southern Wisconsin. 22 here in Madison, 27 in Janesville, 22 in Monroe. Winds, though, are from the southwest around 5 to 10 miles per hour, so there is a little bit of a wind chill to factor in this morning. It feels like it's in the lower teens. Wind chills will stay in the teens through most of the afternoon today, not climbing to above 20 degrees until we get to about 3 o'clock this afternoon. So your best forecast calls for you to bundle up today. We're looking at highs only near 30. Again, quite a few clouds lingering across southern Wisconsin. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Hattie. So we will find out later today whether more improvements may be coming to Breese-Stevens Field in downtown Madison. The city's Urban Design Commission will vote on the latest renovation plans for that historic facility, which will host Madison's first and new pro soccer team in the spring. The hope is to add more bleachers and a hospitality deck above the new concession stand that's already under construction. Officials say all of the improvements may not be ready for the team's first game, but the facility will still be usable.
The Green Bay Packers Foundation is honoring more than 200 organizations and charities at its annual grant program. This year, the foundation is supporting groups involved in arts, culture, athletics, and education. There's a luncheon today at 12:30 to honor the grant recipients, where the foundation chairperson and Packers president Mark Murphy will speak. If you're interested in applying for a grant next year, the Packers Foundation is looking for groups focused on animal welfare, environmental issues, and health and wellness causes. That includes preventing drug and alcohol abuse, along with domestic violence. You can find application information at that link right there at your screen.
Meanwhile, the Packers have parted ways with another member of their coaching staff after a critical social media post. Linebacker coach Winston Moss was fired Sunday night after tweeting that championship teams have great leadership and the Pack needs someone to hold Aaron Rodgers and everyone else to a hashtag Lombardi standard. 9 hours later, Moss tweeted that the team was letting him go.
Tonight, the Bucs have a chance to move past their 136-134 overtime loss to the Knicks this past Saturday. The Deer have now lost 3 of their last 5 games, and tonight they're going to try and protect the home court against the Detroit Pistons. The Bucs are now at a 15-7 record, putting them in second place in the Eastern Conference behind the Raptors. The Pistons are in 4th place at 13-8. Tip-off is at 7 o'clock tonight.
Meanwhile, Giannis Antetokounmpo has been named Eastern Conference Player of the Month for the 2nd time in his career. He is now the first player in Bucks history to win that honor multiple times. The Greek Freak was the only player in the NBA to average at least 25 points, 10 assists, and 5 rebounds per game. He tallied 3 30-point games, that is, and recorded 2 triple-doubles during October and November.
That's how you make Danica's morning, is to give her a script with the Greek Freak's name in it.
Yeah, absolutely. How can you not like talking about his accomplishments? It's good stuff.
It's a tough word to say. I'm not going to lie. I'll pass.
I know. I'll give you a pronouncer later on. 5:43 right now. If Hattie's forecast already has you thinking about ditching this Wisconsin weather, Dane County Airport is about to add some more flights to some of its sunniest vacation destinations. We'll tell you where they're heading coming up.
And 2 of Wisconsin's last locally owned newspapers will join hundreds of other papers to be swallowed up by bigger companies. We'll take a look at what that means for jobs and the daily prints here in our area when News 3 This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. A few snowflakes drifting down right now, but not accumulating on the ground at all. We have a pretty quiet forecast coming up around here. Let's take a look at our current temperatures this morning. We're in the 20s, low to mid 20s this morning, so just a little bit colder than it was this time yesterday. Take a look at the numbers across the upper Midwest. You do see some pretty cold temperatures out to the west. North Platte this morning is 9. Bismarck is at 16, and Rapid City starts at 12. So there is some cold air on the map. Take a look at the flight delays, none being reported here, but with some snow through the Ohio River Valley, that may slow things down a little bit later on today. Otherwise, looking pretty good across the country early this morning. We are watching a storm system that's moving onto the west coast right now, moving into central and southern California. That'll bring rain and mountain snow to those areas. That storm system has plenty of moisture to work with, but the track of the jet stream is going to steer it well south of our area. So watch what happens as we go through Friday into the upcoming weekend. That turns into a pretty big storm for the southern tier of the United States. There will be a change over to some snow on the northern edge of this system, but that will stay well south of Wisconsin. So we actually have some sunshine and quiet weather in our forecast, whereas the southern tier of the United States is going to be pretty active right through the weekend. Our current conditions here, 22 in Madison with cloudy skies. A west wind this morning at 7 miles an hour sends that wind chill down to 13 degrees. Here's a look at your wind chill forecast through the day. Winds are going to be a little bit stronger than they were yesterday, so you'll want to bundle up today because it will feel like it's in the teens through most of the afternoon. Here's a look at your pinpoint city forecast highs today. Warmest temps will be south of Madison, 34 in Beloit, 33 in Evansville, and 32 in Monroe. Mostly cloudy skies to the west, 30 in Fenimore, as well as Richland Center. And to the north, we're looking at temperatures topping in the upper 20s to right around 30 degrees. So 29 in Adams, 28 rather in Adams, 29 in Montello, 30 in Poinet. Here in Madison, we're topping right around 30 degrees as well. Down to 25 tomorrow. There is a chance for some flurries late tonight into tomorrow with a cold front. Otherwise, behind that front, we're starting in the single digits Friday morning, climbing to a high of just 20 in the afternoon. Does look like it's going to warm up a little bit towards the second part of next week, though. So if you're just tired of these 20s and these cold temperatures, maybe just be a little patient.
Yeah, up near 40. Man, that's going to feel downright tropical.
That's true.
Seriously, is that chance, by the way, if that stays around 40, could we see some rain?
Yes.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yes, we could see some rain in the area. So.
Which it would put us up near that second all-time greatest rainfall total or something like that for the year.
I think we're going to be the second wettest year ever here in Madison. We have over 3 inches of rain or moisture to get into that first place spot. So that's a lot in the month of December, but we'll see what happens.
We will. All right. Thank you, Hattie.
You're welcome.
5:50 your time now. A major utility company with customers here in Wisconsin says it wants to eliminate all of its carbon emissions by the year 2050. The Colorado Sun reports Xcel Energy made that announcement yesterday in Denver. CEO Ben Frauke says the company set the goal as a response to climate change. Xcel is based in Minneapolis and has almost 4 million customers across the country. That includes right around 350,000 here in Wisconsin.
If you know a farmer who is struggling with low commodity prices and tariffs on their exports, there's an opportunity for them to apply for financial support from the state. The Department of Agriculture, Trade and Consumer Protection is accepting petitions for what are known as agriculture enterprise areas. That distinction allows farmers to receive tax credits of $5 to $10 for every acre of field land, and if they enter into a farmland preservation agreement with the state. In order to qualify, you, at least 5 other landowners nearby, and your local government all have to file a petition. You can find more information by searching petition materials on DATCAP's website. The agency says, although the deadline isn't until July, the paperwork can take months to prepare.
Some of Wisconsin's last locally owned newspapers are under new ownership this morning. The Janesville Gazette reports the Daily Jefferson County Union, Sun Prairie Star, Waunakee Tribune, and 11 other community newspapers have been bought by Minneapolis-based Adams Publishing Group. That sale ends a nearly 150-year run of the Jefferson County Union under a local company and a 123-year run for the Watertown Daily Times. As of now, that sale doesn't impact staffing, but it might give those smaller papers better access to technology and business strategies.
It seems like we have been talking about the arrival of a popular Chicago-style beef sandwich shop for a long time. Well, in the meantime, there's even more reason to try it. Cue the salivation. Portillo's is scheduled to open early next year at Easttown Mall. There's no exact opening date, but construction seems to be pretty close to done. TripAdvisor just named Portillo's the #1 fast casual dining restaurant in the country, followed by Earl of Sandwich in LA and Shake Shack in New York City. Until the Easttown location opens, the closest Portillo's is in Brookfield or down in Illinois.
All right, here's a good excuse to trade in Wisconsin winter for the Sin City. There are now some more flights headed out of Madison to get you there. The Dane County Regional Airport says starting next month, Frontier Airlines will offer 4 flights a week to Las Vegas and to Orlando. Those flights will depart from Madison on Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Lots of options there.
Yeah, absolutely. Your time right now is 5:52, and the Baraboo School District says it will incorporate new field trips, speakers, even theater into its curriculums as to educate its students after a photo of high schoolers appearing to hold up a Nazi salute went viral worldwide.
And Josh Spreiter is keeping an eye on the developments at the state capitol this morning, where the Senate and Assembly are working on the main bill to strip powers from the governor and attorney general-elects.
And let's take a live look this morning inside the CBS This Morning studios. You can see pretty bare at this hour as the crew anchors live from Washington, D.C. for the funeral of President George H.W. Bush. Their special report is coming up right after News 3 this morning.
Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us here on the program, and Kevin sent in this beauty to us. Boy, I am a sucker for a southern Wisconsin farm scene and a sunrise, a twofer there. Thanks so much for sharing, Kevin. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning.
All right, we have live reports coming up from Josh Spreiter. He is at the Capitol this morning where lawmakers are still working to pass some bills.
Now, a WISC TV editorial with editorial director Neil Heinen.
Wisconsin, the state Governor Walker has led for 8 years, is once again a national embarrassment. The political power grab by Republicans in response to the election of Tony Evers is being decried across the nation.